Hey everyone, my name is Mikkel and thank you for tuning in to another one of my Logic Pro tutorials. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create impulse responses with the impulse response utility found in Logic Pro. So let's say you have all your materials set up. From there, the first thing you want to do is just open up the Space Designer plugin. You can have an empty track to do this. You don't need to have any preloaded stems. So in order to find it, you can just go here to Logic, Reverb, Space Designer. And I usually open up in mono. So since I already have the plugin open, let's open it up. Alright, so this is what you're going to see by default when you open the Space Designer plugin. So what you're going to do to open up the utility is just open here. You can left click and hit Open IR Utility. From there, it's going to open the Impulse Response utility. So then you're going to set up your configuration. I'm only using one microphone and one speaker position for this example, so this is what's going to match, but you have multiple here. Hit OK. Okay, so now I have the impulse response utility open. Now the first thing you want to do is actually just clear the current waveform that's on it. In order to do that, it's pretty straightforward. Just go ahead here where it says record, click that button. It's going to ask if you want to delete it, hit record, and now you have an empty track. On the left hand side, you have a couple of options. You can control the monitor, make sure that's unmuted if you want to keep track of that. Then you have the sweep. Now the sweep is pretty important because that determines the volume and how long the frequency sweep is going to go. Here you have an option for a test tone, and that is a great way to verify whether or not your connections are correct. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it. Alright, looking good there. Now with the frequency sweep under mode, you have a couple of different options to see how many samples you're going to collect. You have either between 1, 5, 10, or 50 seconds. The last thing that's here is the reverb time, and that's just going to determine how much time it's going to be taking the sample. So if you wanted to take a cabinet, you just minimize it all the way, but if you want to capture a room and give it more reverb, you just adjust that accordingly. So after that, make sure that you have everything correct. So just make sure that you have no plugins active on the channel strip, and just make sure your input is correct. And when it's all looking good, just go ahead and hit sweep. Alright, awesome. And then from there, now it's giving you an option to save whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to call it test for now. Yep, and I've done this a couple of times, so I'm just going to go ahead and replace it. Alright, so from there you have this kind of form. And if this is the last waveform you want to capture and create one single impulse response, go ahead and deconvolve. And now you're going to have what looks like a normal waveform. So from there, if you're just doing cabinet responses, go ahead and just trim the fat. So just go here, cut, and let's see, cut. That looks about right, looks good. I could think I could cut a little bit more. Alright, so this is my impulse response. Now, when I want to save the impulse response itself, all I have to do is just click down here where it says create setting, and I'm going to name it test. And I'm going to overwrite the one I already have. So this is pretty important. This is going to tell you the file path where this is hidden. And the reason why you want to know this is that if you want to change it into a normal .wav file, there's one more thing you're going to need to do. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you before we end this video is actually how to convert this into a WAV file. So the first thing you want to do is just locate wherever you save that impulse response. So for me, it's under music, audio music apps, impulse responses, and then here it's going to be the SDR file. So from there, I'm just going to double click this and just change it to a WAV file. From there, what I'm going to do is then open it with QuickTime Player. And then from there, I'm going to save as a WAV file. For some reason, when you convert it to a WAV file directly, it doesn't work, and you will need to open QuickTime or something like that to save it properly. The impulse response utility is a pretty straightforward tool to use, and it's awesome that it comes free with Logic Pro 10. Now if you guys have any questions about impulse responses or about using this utility, feel free to post in the comments section below. If you like this video, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to keep up to date with new content. I appreciate you all watching this video. Happy mixing.